I left the club at 5 a.m. and I had to decide, do I go home, freshen up and go to work, or do I go straight to work? I was like, nah, just go straight to work. Call time was 7 a.m. Went to work, got into my changing room, went to wardrobe as they there earlier, and they gave me anything that a wild girl would need. Freshened up, walked into my changing room, and I thought, I'm going to take a nap, and then I'm going to wake up for that 7 o'clock a.m. call time. I'm going to set an alarm. Then I hear shuffling and mumbling in the room next door to me. I'm like, but this is Menzi's room. So I look around for a weapon. I'm like, what? What can I find? I find an umbrella. And then I grab it and I go to war. I bang on Menzi's door. Boom, 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 boom. Who's there? Get out with your hands up. I heard giggling before he could even open the door. He opened the door and he said to me, Makuma, Belegas, what are you doing? What are you going to do with that umbrella? The point I'm trying to make is that I was at work at 5:30. Menzi was there at 5 o'clock. While I was leaving that club, Menzi was at work, showing up. And you must understand that the guy's call time was always half an hour later. We were called early because of the makeup and stuff and hair. But Menzi was there. And I remember walking away feeling embarrassed. I'm like, wow, there I was leaving Club Kilimanjaro. And here's a guy showing up earlier than most. And that was not a once-off occurrence. Menzi was there consistently, first person to arrive, last person to leave. And that's what I've learned. Professionalism, generosity. I learned to be generous because of Menzi. I'm a Sagittarius. I should know about generosity. But Menzi's generosity was of a different kind. He was generous in spirit. That presence. That presence. I'm sure we all felt it. We all saw it. We all heard it. That's Menzi Ngubane. Strong in presence and will make his presence felt. Generosity. It was my first day in Generations. I had a scene with one of the characters. Menzi was going to join us halfway through the scene. Multicam. The cameras were focusing on me, on the other character. I fed. We call it feeding. Present. Being there, showing up. Then it was the other person's turn to feed me. And they didn't. They were looking at their nails. They were brushing their hair. And I still delivered those lines. And I remember walking out of that scene, Menzi grabbed me and said, Sonia, you, my dear, are going to go far. You remind me of me. Doesn't matter if you are there in the scene with me or not. I will be there and I will deliver what I'm supposed to deliver. There was a scene that we also shot, and Sbusiso had left Ntombi, and I say left, quote unquote, because he didn't divorce Ntombi. He left Ntombi. We all know that was going to be temporary, right? He left Ntombi for Karabo. And they bumped into each other in the lift, Ntombi and Sbusiso. And Sbusiso was supposed to say, Makumalo Ogahle. Ntombi, with pride, was supposed to say, I'm fantastic. But I decided to give it a switch a bit. And I remember losing my words in that scene. And the director thought I had forgotten my lines. And the director was reminding me of what I needed to say. And I remember Menzi and I said it at the same time. We looked up in the director's box and we both said, she's acting! Generosity. If you needed time to breathe, Menzi would give you that time to breathe. If you needed time to remember your lines, Menzi will buy you that time to remember your lines. That is the man that we worked with. Keeping to oneself, that's another lesson. Menzi would go into his changing room get his script, learn his lines, and remain there. We had a green room. We had a tendency to go out there, hang out, pool table, guarana here and there, hang out. And I remember one day he walked into the green room, opened his locker, took his script. Somebody said, I think it was Tabiso Mukhetsi. He said, big guy, do you want to join us? Menzi said, nah. Who's going to be representing you all on screen if I'm here with you all playing games? Remembering why you are there. Remembering why you are hired at a job. Remembering who are you and what you need to be on screen. That's another thing I learned from Menzi. Fanatical. Menzi was fanatical. Let it be a weekend, there's a derby, Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs are playing. Lo and behold, Kaizer Chiefs loses. Menzi will walk in from the Henley entrance. It's about 50 meters long. He would walk in with his Pirates regalia, with his flag, and he'll be screaming down the passage, "Baga choo choo." And it would be like that the whole day, scene after scene. We will be celebrating Amapaga Paga. Come the next day, Menzi shows up, forgotten all about that. Mauti Paga choo choo, aye. Seslulile lap. Spirituality. I remember when I saw the switch. You know, there was enough spirituality, there was enough talent, there was enough everything in Menzi. And he was not shy to display all his compartments, everything he was about. He would preach to me. Nobody knew the Bible like Menzi Ngubane did. Menzi would minister to us, to me. And I remember thinking, wow. If I'm going to take anything away, out of everything that I have taken, is to champion and be a ninja for Jesus, like Menzi was. Youthfulness. That spirit of youthfulness that he exuded every day. He was youthful. He was everything you would think a grown man should not be. And he was not shy about it. Last lesson. Optimism. When I left Generations, I told my agent, and she said to me, have you told your husband that you're leaving Generations? Remember getting up immediately, I went into Menzi's door, I banged on the door. He opened the door, he was like, what? Because he could sense that there was something serious that I needed to discuss with him. And I said, I'm leaving. You know, somebody else would have talked me down. Menzi looked at me in the eyes and said, Belegazi, hamba kahle. Like I said, I've learned many lessons from Menzi, but those are the ones that stand up the most during that 8 years that I worked with him. Let's remember him. Siyabonga, Somash, Ngubane, Ogwa Kesare, ubuyele ku Kesare. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dumelang bagolo kalina ke nna se hume thato molamu I think firstly I'd like to thank the church, the organizers, and everyone who's really put the effort for today so that we can remember Menzi. I think for me, the biggest person that I want to thank is his wife for being the most supportive wife. I think any husband wishes that they had a wife like Sigi. You know, a woman that will carry you through health and sickness and happy times. Because not many will ever get to really enjoy the gratitude and the love that I think Menzi had received from his wife and his family. More than saying goodbye, I think it's more than also saying that until we see you again. From us as an industry, from us that got to know him, I think it is important, as everyone that has come on stage that has indicated, that Menzi was a very giving person, very spiritual person. And for me, he mentored me through my journey as I came into the industry, because my first day on Generation, and I remember I met him at the green room and he was sitting alone, and then he saw me and it was my first day and he said to me, Uba, thought, man, I'm looking for where I can get my scripts. And he said, listen, I've met a lot of young people like you and I've seen them come and go. And that this industry will either blind you or you also see where the opportunity is. And throughout that, those are the words that I took into my craft and how disciplined one should be, because Menzi was always the first one on set. He read everybody's storylines. He knew who and what each and every character is doing. And outside of that, he was a family man. You know, you're always encouraged to say that get married, have a wife, settle down, don't be all over the show. And that's also another principle that I took. So, Siki, thank you very much for welcoming me in your family and allowing Menzi also to share himself with not only us, I think the Generations cast, the Isibaya cast, the Izo cast, and many other productions that Menzi got to touch and be part of. And for me, this is a very, very sad day. But at the very same time, we understand that Dillo le dikeledi tsa gagwe will not go into deaf ears. We live in an industry that is a very painful industry, doesn't regard actors, doesn't see what we do. You give so much of yourself, and what do you have to show for it? Usually what you'll ever get is just people will celebrate you and say how great you are, and then that's it. Nothing that you ever have performed in will ever give royalties to your family so that you can leave a legacy for your family. But Menzi Ngubane, as much as he even fought with us and stood with us from 2013, 2014, he still to this day believes that the industry itself will change and will be very giving and will build families. Because it is important that if you've given yourself and your children are watching you 20 years from now, they should benefit from the work that you've given. Because you're spending 12 hours on set. You don't even have time with your family in a mall because people want pictures from you. You can't even have time with your wife. You have no privacy. So this industry, as much as you give so much to it, it also takes so much. And a lot of times it just leaves you so bitter. It leaves many bitter. I don't know how many artists have to die poor for this government to realize that things have to change. Enough is enough. Every single time that one of us passes away, it's like it's a grant. Senzane. What is it that we can do? We force others to become business people and just individuals that just love this industry and all they want to do is to perform. But this industry will force you into different corners. Maybe my words will be remembered, maybe not. And if ever, please remember his words at the Market Theatre. Please find that clip when a man, a grown man, a father, a husband, was crying and asking for change. And who cared to listen? Probably we'll all go back to our families, we'll forget about what happened here today. Probably, I don't know. So for me, I think I just want to say again, young actors that are coming into this industry, discipline, focus, love. We celebrate you, Menzi. We thank you for what you've given to us. You never cheated us in every set that you've ever been in. You always gave your best. But the one thing that you did was you gave love to your family. Brawambovu, Aramufitlens Sintlego Lady Smith. And I hope that all of us will walk out of here today with a different mindset and a different approach, that Monday to Friday, actors are on screen. This man was on our screen every single day. Let us not forget him. Let this not be the last memoriam of Menzi Ngubane.
We are here to celebrate an amazing life that has lived and he has run his race very well. And I would like us
His word. We adore you, King. We adore you, Lord. We adore you, Messiah. We adore you, Jehovah. We adore you, great I am. We adore you, Lord. Akekho njengawe. Uyingcwele, uyingcwele. Uyinkosi yezulu.
A big pop-up has fallen. Menzi Ngubs Ngubane, a thespian, a friend, and a brother. I've worked with Menzi amazing. And it's so sad that not so long ago, I sent you, Menzi, a clip here. We're doing a scene where he was drunk and he was reading, and Javas got irritated. And I sent it to him, and then I said, yes, before when we were young, he used to call me Vuso. Then he responded, he said, Vuso, yeah, it was great, keep well, my friend. And I didn't know that was the last time. It's an amazing journey. You've run the race. We don't know. You know, sometimes it pains me because when I was doing the River, you know, I was calling Menzi, and I called him even before. I said, I'm going to play this character of a guy who has kidney problems. And he gave me everything, like he gave me all the notes. You sweat, you do this, and all that. And I constantly called him, even when I was rehearsing. And he even said to me, I think they've chosen the right person to play this character. I know you'll represent me well, my friend. Before go rest, yes, but not we don't understand the pains that we're going through.
My journey with knowing Ngubs, Menzi Ngubs, started in 1996 when I was a very young boy. Had not been in this industry yet. I think he was still doing Generations at that time, the first time. 98, I started with Generations, and I can safely say, Ngubs, everything I know in this industry, I learned it from Ngubs. 2 people. No, actually 3. Themba Ndaba, Sophie Ndaba, and I think it's Sophie Dichaba now, and Ngubs. Those were my mentors. Those are the people I learned everything that I know in this industry from. Ngubs was a brother to me. Ngubs was a mentor to me. Ngubs was a teacher to me. Yeah, anginawo amagama amaningi because ukhuluma nje iqiniso silahlekelwe. And mangithi silahlekelwe ngikhuluma ngeSouth Africa yonke, ngikhuluma ngama-fans kaNgubs, ngikhuluma ngathi abangani bakaNgubs, ngikhuluma ngabo Fikelebi, and everybody else bebekasondela noNgubs. So from word of mouth, personally from me, uDingani Siyabonga waKhumalo, and the word of mouth family, I want to say condolences kuba kaNgubane uMbovu uSomahashi.
It is so hard for me because when I first worked with Menzi, it was on Yizo Yizo. He was a young man then, full of life, laughter. He would joke so much and he would crack us all. Yeah, it is difficult now to talk about him in past tense. And so in my memories, I would like to remain with that Menzi that is full of life. That is the memory I remember about him. May his family be comforted during this time. And most of all, they must just know he was a very humble man. Magnificent, a big man, yet humble. We'll forever miss him. May his soul rest in peace.
Mangika, nyengosi mangika, anye abantu bagubone kimi, bagukho, zengosi bagudumise, bathule bathitu. Mangika, nyengosi mangika, anye abantu bagubone kimi, bagukho, zengosi bagudumise, bathule bathitu. Ngithi mangikanye, Nkosi mangika, anye abantu bagubone kimi, bagukhonze, Nkosi bagudumise, bathule bathitu. Ngithi mangikanye, Nkosi mangika, anye abantu bagubone kimi, bagukhonze, Nkosi bagudumise, bathule bathitu. Mangikanye, Nkosi mangikanye, abantu bagubone kimi, bagukhonze, Nkosi bagudumise, bathule mangikanye, Nkosi mangikanye, abantu bagubone kimi, bagukhonze, Nkosi bagudumise, bathule bathitu. Mangikanye, simangika anye abantu bakubone kimi bakukhonze Nkosi bakudumise bathule bathi tu. We're here to celebrate. I don't talk much, but I sing much. So the gift I'm going to give to the family and friends and colleagues is of song. Uyesu litwala, Uyesu litwala, ulitwala lama, 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 oh matota masambe, oh matota masambe, kaya Yesu, oh matota masambe, oh matota masambe, kaya Yesu, oh Yesu litwala, oh Yesu litwala, litwala lama, oh Yesu litwala, oh Yesu litwala, litwala lama, oh matota masambeni, masambeni matota, kaya Yesu, oh matota masambeni, masambeni matota, kaya Yesu, oh Yesu litwala, oh Yesu litwala, litwala lama, oh Yesu litwala, oh Yesu litwala, litwala lama, oh matota masambeni, oh matota masambeni, kaya Yesu, oh matota masambeni, oh matota masambeni, kaya Yesu, oh matota masambeni, matota masambeni, kaya Yesu, oh matota masambeni, matota masambeni, kaya Yesu, oh matota masambeni, masambeni matota, kaya Yesu.
Jikile izinto manje. Bathi lithatha semnyango, limbeke emsamo. Lithatha semsamo, liphose emnyango. Phethe mina manje.
Hawu baba.
Ayo hlala kamna.
Yabona into enhle manje. Ukuthi nawe ukhona uzoyibona yonke into eyenzakalayo. Oh. Thanza. Ami ke ngiyajada wa.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
ngiyajada.
Ezwa mama ngiyajada.
Angena amakhosi asemabomvini uthe mayecula uJudith asengena noLerado ngivumele mfowethu ngithi angenile amakhosi asemabomvini zifikile ingelosi zakithi angeke ngisakhuluma kakhulu ngomsebenzi kaBhuti uBhuti was a star but he was the kind of star ukhanya okwakuthi makhanya bese kukhanyela nabanye. He was a giver, not a taker. Ask anyone who's ever performed a scene with him. He was a giver, not a taker. Umfowethu had no half measures. There was no gray area with Menzi. He was never half in. He was always in. 100%, 150%. Ngalendlela ukuthi mayengakthandi wayengakuthandi futhi wayengakuhlebo wayekutshela akuthandi uthi mudlo yaduze kwakhe anxaphe semfuni ngami njalo lo mayekuthanda uyokuthanda athembeke futhi kuwena ungunaphakade. That was Menzi Ngubane. When I first met him, wathi mina othi ngibo umunwe wakho ngathi nami uthi ngibo wakho ewangibuka engacama ukuthi offended wathi hayi wakithi ke lo udelela njengabantu bakithi wena umbovu ke lo. My husband was asking me what I will miss the most about him. Ngasengithi kena akekho umuntu wayengithakazelela njengoMenzi. Akekho noyedwa umuntu okwayikwazi ukungithakazelela njengoMenzi. uMenzi ubesuka e-studio about 3-4 kilometers Sibhubesini. Athi maseqeda amasini akhe athi dadewethu khona ngithi ngikhona mfowethu afika ngene with a big smile. Athi ngize kwena ngani yakwethu mbovu somahashi nomafu miyaluze ngize kwena Nzombane ngithi angizokubona ngizelile okuningi bengizothi nje mbovu bese yahamba. Akekho umuntu obengiqinisa njengoMenzi ngithi mfethu bayangisongela bangiqambela amanga athi phoma beqamba amanga unandabani wena. Noma nginenkinga bese ethi qina ngani yakwethu. Qina ngani yakwethu. Qina dadewethu. Sizalwe emakhosini thina sizalwa namagwala. Nkosi Nzombane wayiqhawe elaliqinile. I'm going to introduce some colleagues, previous employers, people that worked with him in the industry. But because we are running out of time, we need to be time sensitive. I just want to reiterate that we are giving our speakers 3 minutes each. And also just to be sensitive to the family is going back to KZN today. And so we are under time pressure because the family has to leave for KZN today. I'm going to introduce you in this order. And what will happen is that I will just announce all of you. The speaker will come on and speak, step off, and then we'll just have a chorus to introduce the next speaker. Kanjalo, kanjalo, kanjalo. So angizukubuya ngizonbiza ngawan ngawan. Please prepare yourselves. My executive producer, Onisibaya, Desiree Makraf, we call her Mama D, the tribe queen. Desiree, I want to thank you because many people don't know that Menzi was supposed to be on the show for 1 year. And we extended that to 4 years. Menzi left heartbroken. But ngathi mangikhuluma naye wathi dadewethu uma usaphila ukwazi ukuphefumula yazi uthi khona osangakwenza. After Des, Abdul Khoza, please come up. Abdul played his son on Isibaya on all the years that we were together, and they made magic together. And I also know that this is extremely hard for him. And then we'll have Uwes Gaino, who was his manager / agent, also come up to share a few words. And then after him, ngicela ubaba uDavid Makubye, who's a representative from the SABC, to also come and share. And then sobe sesivala ngubaba uPatrick Shai esezoshare naye ngobhuti. Over to you.
Afternoon. Menzi, we know that you're here with us today. We can feel you, and I know that you are here checking that we give you a wonderful send-off because you really loved a sense of occasion. You like things to be done right, and I want to thank the organizers here today because I think that Menzi is pleased. That was how you were as an actor. Attention to detail was really important to you. Your wardrobe, your props, your preparation. You believed they were all important to the character that you were going to create, to the character that you would bring to life. In the pre-production phase, Menzi was always there, trying to find that character, that thing that would make that person special, that would bring them to life in a way that no other had been. And boy, could Menzi do that. Larger than life. Every one of the characters that he has created, we remember so well. I've known you for almost 30 years. I've had an honor and a blessing to be working with you on so many projects, and most recently Isibaya. I remember it like yesterday when we brought the Ngubane family together. Menzi was so excited, and he really loved this character of Judas Ngubane so much. He had a gold necklace made with a crocodile on it. He was the patriarch of his family in every way, on the set and on screen. You loved your on-screen family. I remember how he nurtured Linda, who played his daughter. She was a first-time actress, new. He was so kind and gentle and generous in his spirit with her, protective. Menzi and Abdul, what an incredible father-son duo. What a tough and complex relationship that they brought to life on a screen, a relationship that so many of us understand, that complexity between fathers and sons, about what defines manhood. And Menzi was a man in absolutely every possible way, and yet never scared to cry, to weep, to hold his son. And I often remember seeing him on those scenes where there was so much battle between him and his son, and yet he would be able to pull him into an embrace, and you could feel Menzi's love in those embraces. And then his on-screen wife, Thuli, Judas and Beauty, the ride and die couple. It was a couple we all wanted to be. That love that they shared, they could battle like crazy and then find their way back together again. And in some ways, I really think that that was who Menzi really was in all his relationships with people. He didn't mind getting into battle with you, but love was always at the center of those battles. You loved your on-screen family fiercely. The Ngwenyas grew, and he welcomed them in. Vavavoom, Dam Dam, Jerry, all of them part of this knit And I know that the Isibaya crew used to be so excited when it was Ngwenya days, because we knew we were going to have a lot of fun on set. And that even if we knew the script and we knew what was happening in the story, we would always be surprised. Because somehow Menzi would get together with his group of actors and they would work things out together and they would surprise us. You kept things tight, always rehearsing and bringing magic to absolutely every scene. And I know that the love that you brought into that family on screen reflected the love that you had at home. How much you loved your real family. Siki and daughters. You made him so happy. Angus and I were talking this morning and remembering that when Menzi started on Isibaya, he told us that he had been through a very dark patch in his life, but that he was so happy. He had found somebody and he had a family, and he was so happy in the place that he was. And it was beautiful to see him in that place, to have come out of the dark place that he had been in after having been so sick and been so vulnerable for such a long time. And when we took Menzi onto Isibaya, we knew that it was a risk. We knew that he had been ill, and it was okay because he had to act. He had to be on screen. He had to put that magic out there. He couldn't sit with it inside him. There was an irony to Menzi, because even though he was so organized and prepared all the time, he was also, I think his greatest skill was how he could improvise on the day, how he could bring magic to one small scene in the moment. And I think what really Menzi taught me, and I hope taught many other actors, is that preparation is the road to great improvisation. He was always prepared, even though it looked like it came naturally and in the moment. He had an amazing skill. He could find humor in the darkest moments in a scene. It was his genius. He could move from lovable and funny with that beautiful laugh into something almost terrifying in a moment, in a beat. And it never felt unusual, it never felt odd, it never felt wrong. It was there inside him. And then he could make us laugh. Angus said to me today that he thinks that Menzi is one of the coolest people he ever met, probably the coolest person in South Africa. He was like what Jack Nicholson is to the Americans, Menzi Ngubane is to us in South Africa. He just had this aura about him when he entered a room or a space, as many people have spoken about before. We at BOM are really grateful to have been part of his life and to have been able to call him family. Our history is deep. 20 years ago, we did Yezo Yezo 2 together. And I remember that when Menzi came for the audition, there was just absolutely no question in our mind that he was the right person for the role. He was perfect. And in fact, Angus used to go on to set on the days that Menzi was on call simply to watch him perform, because it was such a joy to see him take this very complex, dark character and bring it to life. And it was an important story. It was a story about the seductiveness of teachers and the vulnerability of students, and to understand how students would fall for teachers. And somehow he just brought this character to life in a way that showed all the shades of Elliot. We believed that Menzi would be a great anchor for a daily show. And when we started to develop Zone 14, Menzi was at the center of it. We shot a pilot in Alex, and Menzi was at the heart of the show. Sadly, SABC took very long to commission us. And in the meantime, Generations had discovered and offered Menzi a role, and of course he was there for many years. And we were very sad to lose him as part of the BOM family, but we were also so happy for him, happy that he had a good job, happy that he had a good salary, and happy that South Africa was going to experience him every day on television and create this character that all of us remember and love. And so finally, when he did leave Generations, we were excited about the possibility of working together again. And then came Judas and Ngwenya. And we're so grateful to almost 1,000 episodes of entertainment that he shared with us on Isibaya, that he rejuvenated our show, that he brought this beautiful family together and created this incredible character. I remember how hard it was for me to meet with him and tell him on the day when we decided that we were going to end the story for Judas and Gwenya. There were lots of rumors about that it had something to do with Menzi. Not at all. We had taken this character to so many places that Menzi went to so willingly and with such hunger and appetite and strength that we felt that we couldn't take the character any further. It was our failing as writers, because wherever we went, Menzi would have gone and he would have brought magic to that role. But there we were sitting in my little boardroom, and my stomach was just hard at the thought of having to share this with Menzi. And it was agonizing to say it, and he kept quiet for a moment and swallowed, and he didn't say anything back. And then he nodded and he said, well, if it's right for story, then that's what we have to do. And we both cried for a while in that room together. In fact, losing the Ngwenyas was very hard. Characters become part of our lives as producers and writers too. My heart ached as it does now. But then he smiled and he said, well, we better give Judas and Gwenya a really great send-off. And we tried really hard to provide the platform in the scripts for him. And boy, did Menzi Ngubane come out and show us just what an incredible actor he was. It didn't matter what we threw in that climax to the end of Judas and Gwenya. He took that role and he gave it absolutely everything. And little did we know that it would be the last big on-screen moments that we would have with Menzi. And I'm so grateful that we gave him the platform to just show everybody how magnificent he really was. He was a consummate professional and an incredibly beautiful human being. And I want to agree with what Tato said earlier. Every day when you see Menzi on your screens going forward, ask yourself, where are the royalties going? It's not right. This has to change. Menzi started calling me Mama D. I never had that name before, and I don't know why he gave it to me, because actually we're very similar age, so I don't know, Menzi, what were you saying? But anyway, I like the name. And I'll never erase his messages from my phone, always filled with warmth, a little flower or a little heart, and always starting off with Mama D. So from Mama D and Bom, we want to send our love to your family and to you, and you will always be part of our hearts and our family. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Lord. Jesulitwa la paga Sabi ofana naye. One more time. Jesu litwala. Jesu litwala. Oh, twala la paga. La paga. La paga te. Ake. Ake. Sosa. Ofana nawe. Yes, singa sonami. Singa sona. Thank you, Lord. Sisuke sisuka. Ayake. Ayake. Sosabi. Ofana naye. Yeah. Singa sonami. Singa sona. Sisugabu. Sisugabu. Ayake. Sosabi. Ofana nawe.
Okay, now I know what the actors are complaining about when they say sound. I kind of get it now. Sambona. I met Menzi 8 years ago. I was introduced to Menzi by the great Munyin Lee. Admittedly, I didn't really like Menzi, mainly because all of his characters that he played like made me so angry. I was so mad. But I then met the man, the father, the husband, the artist. My last conversation with Menzi was a tearful one. I urged him to make peace with death, make peace with this day that we all woke up to come and attend. To Mrs. Menzi, as I affectionately call her, I've said to her, say no more, because you've done enough. You've carried a cross that none of us could bear. So I'm going to speak about what I know for sure, because I think a lot of good things are being said, and that's great. But I think the last 2 years with COVID and the realities of our lives, the realities of artists, collectively, producers, writers, actors, directors, cinematographers, gaffers. Menzi loved his work. He was a slave for his work. He was a slave for his art. And the most heartbreaking thing, like a slave, most artists die poor. And how many artists do we know have died poor? And yet, we see them on our screens. So, if Menzi and Munyin taught me anything, they've taught me to fight. They've taught me to stand up for something that I believe in and an industry that I love. And sometimes speaking up could cost you a contract, but at least everyone knows what you want. And if I could speak for Menzi as his representative, he would want change. If the president's watching this, if he's listening to this, I dare you to sit down with me and have a conversation. Have a conversation about an industry a lot of people love, an industry that is somewhat in danger. because I stand today in front of all of you as an agent, a manager, and I've got many prideful moments. I'm proud most of the time, but other times I'm not. I'm not proud when I'm behind an artist that enriches thousands and millions of other lives, and yet they leave our earth very poor. Those are the things that needs to change. And I think Menzi's death is not in vain. From Mary Twala to Menzi Ngubane, I think their deaths should be the beginning of something new, a start, a reminder that we have to stop. We have to respect this industry, and we have to call the people responsible. It has to stop. And I would like that to be part of Menzi's memory. Thank you.
Somandla uzoyigcina impilo yakho, uzoyigcina impilo yakho, uphinde ukhusele umoya wakho, ukhusele umoya wakho. Somandla uzoyigcina impilo yakho, uzoyigcina impilo yakho, uphinde ukhusele umoya wakho.
Ngiyanibingelela nonke. Bengithe ngingikwazi ukukhuluma mangabe ngingakwazi ukucela kuwena ma. Ngiyabonga ukuthi unginiyele lo thuba. Ngiyathemba ngize ngumosha umcimbi. Ngizozama. Ngoba vele isikhathi asinaso bengifuna nje ukusho ukuthi ngilahlekele ubaba mina obe ubaba kumina ngokomsebenzi nangokwempilo. Ubaba uyishintshile impilo yami. Siqala ukuhlangana ngangaza ngayitshela ukuthi sizoba ilento esama yona. Ngoba nami njengawonke umuntu ngimazele ukuthi ubaba kwaze kwafika uthuba lokusebenza naye. Engakusho nje ukuthi ngisho emsebenzini bengazi ukuthi noma yipi inkinga engase ngibe nayo nginobaba. Engamfonela no kuthiwa akeke emsebenzini uyofona ilungiseke leyo nkinga. Umuntu onjalo baba. Umuntu engazi ukuthi nasemndenini ubehlezi enza yonke into angayenza for umndeni wakhe. Ngangokuthi nje nathi ukwazile ukusikhuthaza kakhulu. Mina ngase ngigive upile kwi-acting ngifuna unikhohlisa. Ngabuyela umsebenzi wami uba firefighter ngoba ngawina i-class act ngasebenza kwahamba kwathula ngayiyeka i-acting. So uqala ukubuya kwami kube ukubuya ngebhomu. Mama diye ngitshela ukuthi uzongifaka kwi the road. Kwaba ukona kubuya kwami lo. Ngaresigna kwesibili ngoba ngithi ngizozama kakhulu kunaqala. Kodwa impilo yami ishintshe kakhulu mangihlala nobaba ngoba ubaba ube street mina. Ube street mina njengomuntu abemzala. Bengafunga ukuthi uyangizala ngendlela abe street ngayo ukuthi ngihlezi ngenza isiqiniseko sokuthi bese isikhathi sokwenza umsebenzi wami ngiyawenisisa. Ngoba ubehlezi ethi mangabe ukuthi wena uzofika udlala indodana yami. Fanele wazi ukuthi uzodlala indodana yami. Ngakho konke. Ingakho ngisebenze kangaka. Benganali ithemba nami mangibuya kwesibili but ungikhuthaze ngalendlela ukuthi umsebenzi sikwazi ukwenza naye uze wangwenisisa after. Ekwazile ukunginika lelo themba engalithola kuyena mhla aqala ukuhlangana sazi ukuthi sizosebenza unyaka owodwa washo wathi ayikho leyo nto. Kuningi sizokwenza la. Uyena wakusho lokho futhi wakwenza. Ubaba usithande ngalendlela ebesingayilindele nathi ngoba usithande ezifu uyazi vele ukuthi uthando lakhe komele sisale nalo. Ngiyakwazi futhi lokho ukuthi ukwenze kuthina njengomndeni wakhe abantu asebenze nabo kanye nomndeni aphile nawo. Ngize ngathola ukuba i-best man emshadweni yakhe. Ngathi ngiqeda ukusayina i-contract yami senga-understand ukuthi ngibe ngidlala ingane kaJudas Ngwenya okuvutsha udlala yena ubaba Ngubane. Ngahamba ngawenza i-tattoo yama-wings eqolo ngoba ngithi le i-role yami engasoze ngayikhohlwa futhi angisoze ngayikhohlwa ngoba naye angisoze ngamkhohlwa. Engikwazi ukuthi sonke sumndeni wongwenya into esenze sakwazi ukuqina ngisho engasekho ngoba usinikile leyo instruction yokuthi njengoba ngihamba mina ngifuna nisale ningirepresent. Wonke umuntu ngisho kuthiwa asikaze sitshelane si ama individuals sonke besilwela iapproval yababa njengefamily yakhe emrepresenta escreenini ngoba uyilowo muntu loyo ongathi ufisa ukuthola iapproval yakhe. Njengamanje ngimla angiboni ukuthi ngifanele le ndawo yokukhuluma ngomuntu omkhulu kangoba Menzi Ngubane ngoba nami ngiyayiconsider njengomuntu osemusha kule industry. Kodwa sengikhuluma phezulu lokho engikwaziyo naluka ngishiye nako. Siyabonga kakhulu kubo bonke abantu abebekhona empilweni kaBaba. Siyabonga indlela omkhuthalele ngayo kwamnayekela ngayo baba nsuku zonke behlezi kupraise nani nonke emndenini. Bengifuna ukusho ukuthi ngokwe character yebo bakushintshile bangitshela ukuthi ngizoba ile ndodana eyofunga ukuthi ayisoze yafuna ukufana nobaba wayo kodwa okwangempela in real life ayekho umuntu engiyofisa ukufana naye njengobaba Ngubane. Kuba akekho ufana naye. Siyabonga kakhulu ukuba nani namhlanje ukuthi sikwazi ukumvalelisa baba. Soqhubeka nemsebenzi baba. Sizoyimisela kukho konke esokuthola okuyithuba ngoba usifundisile ukuthi ukusebenza ngokuyikhandla ikhona ukubalekile empilweni. Yabonga kakhulu ngalethuba. So much.
Yawa, yawa, oh, yawa, yawa lempewu, yawa, yawa lemhlabeni. Yawa, 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 yawa lempewu, yawa, yawa lemhlabeni. Oh, yawa, yawa lempewu.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, let me acknowledge the Ngubane family, Deputy Minister, and let me also acknowledge the friends of Menzi Ngubane who are present here today, and the colleagues. And as in our industry, there's a fine line in many cases between being a colleague and a friend. Half, you'll find you are both. And the organizers of the memorial service for including us as well. I would like to come here to pay respects, the final respects for Menzi and to Menzi today on behalf of the SABC television, but also on behalf of SABC. A lot has been said. We are reminded about time. I'm not going to get into too much, but safe to say that we all know the role that Menzi has played. In the country, we all know that he gave of himself. And thank you to the family. Thank you for allowing him, as an artist, the craftsman he was. And everyone has spoken about the talent, and we've seen the talent. We know that he was a true thespian. As an industry, we've lost. I'd just like to say that it's not just the family, of course, that has lost, but we have lost a gem. You can see from South Africans on social media, everyone is celebrating Menzi's life. We all have lost. I remember on a personal level, before I even joined the industry, or even the SABC, Menzi is one of those actors that I would look up to. Those are the actors that we used to watch on our screen, and one day wish that we would also be on our screen, on that screen, and do exactly what he's doing. He inspired a lot. He inspires the young boy from Mnambiti or a young boy from Limpopo somewhere who also looks at him and say, one day I can also achieve it. So it's for that reason that I say we have lost as an industry. And yes, it almost feels like he had so many characters left in him. But as we pray, we say, Intando yakho mayenzeke. And so, harere hulukile, let us allow the Lord to also allow for his way. And also accept that he really played a strong role, Menzi Ngubane. He ran his race. So condolences to the family, and also Menzi, let his soul rest in peace, everlasting peace. And lastly, once again to say thank you for allowing him to grace our screens. Thank you as a family for allowing us to enjoy. And what we need to be doing, really, when it comes to Menzi Ngubane, as we are doing today, is celebrating his life. Let us celebrate, and we will also continue celebrating on our screens, and we will remember Menzi Ngubane for the great work that he did. Thank you.
Ithemba lam, ithemba lam, donyuka nalo dikele edumiswe. Ithemba lam, ithemba lam, donyuka
good afternoon. I'm one person who never runs out of words. Mara vandag kilokile, as we would speak in the industry. There's a song that I sang Menzi Ngubane Ashes. We sang it once on our way kilometer Pakotladling. But it now has profound meaning to me. And when we sang the song, he would love R.M. Khalawe. Uzitola uplezi into lezi. Usile wena mkhalawe indaba bakutsheli. And the song goes thus. Ay, akuvumi mangithule. Ay, akuvumi mangithule. Ay, akuvumi mangithule. Ay, akuvumi mangithule. Vandaag, you know, this song, I get to sing here, Khan Prada, Urmebra, and this song came, and as I said, it had a profound meaning. Because he also went on to say, Mkhalabe kuyasika, mara ngizokhuluma bangijwayela kabi labantu. Ngizobatshela whenever there was something engekho aligned on set. The other side, Menzi, the activist, the person who wanted things to be done right, he would say, and he never kept quiet. Did we forget what he said when he stood on the podium during that infamous press conference? The one thing that stands out for me was when he said, uyalazi iqiniso. And he punctuated everything that he said with uyalazi iqiniso. And he went on to say, yazi iqiniso linjani angeke ulifaka ama spices. It's all too wonderful that we speak of Menzi as this man who had a wonderful smile on set, and trust me, I've experienced that. But I want to say now, had it not been of you, Siswam Sigi, Menzi would not have been able to smile on set. Had you not been the person to whom Menzi could run to with all the dynamics, some challenges that he faced with his health, with the industry issues, had you not been that type and character of a woman, Menzi would not have been the Menzi that we speak of fondly today. So I want you to reside in that comfort that you contributed immensely to the Menzi that you gave to the industry. To his wonderful kids, who I know he loved them, he loved his family. I want to say, the way nidlale no Menzi ngakhona, you kept the young boy in Menzi alive. Hence, he continued to play when he was on set. Great as an actor who never ceases to be a child. For once an actor grows, they stop playing. Menzi remained a child. And to Leonard Ngosita Menzi, thank you for keeping that child in Menzi. Working no Menzi. Yeah, we can go back to Bo Izo. Those were our entry points. But I was privileged for Kispanel Menzi, go ashes to ashes. Yes, Tesru writer, he was a consummate actor. I think he was far more than just an actor. He created life. Ona kona go hemela a character itsoge. And when we met, they said it's a go ashes to ashes, ne disi enough. So I then said, no, when Menzi arrived, he will share the dressing room with me. And indeed, that is what happened. And Menzi would arrive, go dressing room, can we prep for this scene? I know tabula script Menzi would even make a note of where the comma is in his delivery. That is how good the man was. That character laughed. I don't know, he's the only one who could do that. And that smile, that he would, when behind the smile, it means danger. Write a comma, write a space where he says, that is how Menzi prepared. And he would ask also a question to say, in the story world, where does this line come in? The line, but the line doesn't speak to the character that I am about to play. Then we find a way, and he would find a way of saying Zoshoganchi. That's the control, immense control he had over the character that he was playing. He made sure that each and every line, a comma, an exclamation mark, a laughter, added to the character narrative. When I did the campaign Nyaupe as one of the pandemics that we had and that we are still having, it was 2017, I spoke to Menzi about it and he said, Mkhalaba, I'm going to be an ambassador, Yakulumandot. And he came, we had a press conference, he spoke, and the one thing that he said was, if only these boys could realize that Inyaupe Iabulala. That is the Menzi that I know, who was not only in the arts, but in the construction your society. He did more than just what the script detailed. So his is a script that could never have been written. God gave him that script. No one could have lived the life ya Menzi or could have written the life ya Menzi. I'm going to close by saying, it is my hope and dream and wish that we recognize Menzi's contribution to the industry. What he got and a lot of things that he didn't get, amongst which is the unification and the unionization of the industry. That we strive to achieve those things And it does not only require the actors to do that, it requires the bigger giants in the industry, the producers, to come on board and make sure that this industry is unionized. It is not fair that we can continue to talk about actors abana the social securities, that we don't afford medical aid, and yet we can speak so glowingly about the talents that they have. Let us commit to the things that Menzi died fighting for. Let us commit. Let us be united as one. We're not going to gain anything by saying this one, and that one. It is now that we must respect Menzi and what he stood for and come together under his banner and say, we are going to unite this country, create an industry that takes care of its actors. Mama Des, I charge you to lead in the transformation of this sector. It is good that you guys continued to support Menzi. But it would be wonderful that one day when I'm gone or one of us is gone, you stand here and say, I made sure that they have social security. I made sure that they could go to a doctor and afford medical aid. That is my wish for all of us who are here. Let us forget yesterday. It was a good lesson yesterday. Let us take with us the lessons of yesterday to define our today so that tomorrow it's a better tomorrow for our children. We cannot continue to say the same thing again and again and again and again. Menzi's legacy must be the one that gives us the positive trajectory to change the terms of engagement in the industry. He could not be the actor that we say, when he got a call sheet to report to work 3 days or 4 days after Aile for operation. It cannot be. We cannot call him It's the slave contracts that we have to address. I loved this man. He had the fight that I did not have. He had the unselfishness that none of us had. He battled the industry issues at that time while he was battling his health issues at that time. He was so unselfish. If God could give me one more day, I'd want to be the kind of a fighter that Menzi was. And I'd like you to come along. I thank you, Siswam, for having shared Menzi Nati. I thank the family of Ngubane for having shared Menzi Nati. I say to all South Africa, when the actor stands up to speak, they are not divas. I thank you.
Gulungile Hallelujah. Simbingelela bazalwane. Simbingelela umndeni, simbingelela lonke i-protocol observed. Sesiyazi ukuthi isikhathi esihambile. But igama lethu abathandwa musical group under Ngubane Communications. Azizile bazalwane ngokuningi. Kodwa nathi sithunyiwe i-leadership yethu, sithunyiwe umndeni wethu ikhaya. Elasixosha thina, and then sasesibona ukuthi the time kuhamba ubaba uSifiso Ngubane, the family kaNgubane was very close with ubaba uNgubane, and thina sabafana ubaba uNgubane sikhule ngaye simbuka. We are so inspired and we are so happy ukuthi sibe khona namhlanje. So sithunyiwe nayo Mrs. Ngubane to pass her deepest condolences to the family. Unfortunately she couldn't come, but usithumile thina ukuthi sizo represent and pass the message. So bazana so shanje ingoma eyodwa ebese siyaqhela. Cela usipapethe ama monitors please. Thank you. Wenkosi yami wena ukuphila kwami, ukuphila kwami ngalibona utondolo la, utondolo la awena ke wena wena yami uyinqaba yami wenkosi yami wena ukuphila kwami ngalibona utondolo la, utondolo la awena ke wena wena yami uyinqaba yami wenkosi yami
Menzi Ngubane ke lo. Menzi Ngubane, you know, you can write a whole book ngaye. Engithanda ukusho nje ukuthi wangamkela kahle Menzi Ngubane mengifika kwigazi lami. Wangimentorisha and we exchanged ideas nge-character. Kusuka lapho kuya ku ashes to ashes sahlangana nakhona and contemporary ukisho thina uma bese siyongena on stage sithi hayi asibathathe mfana abasazi asibathathe yo Ngubs. Yeah, but other than that nje Ngubane umuntu kumina onenhliziyo enhle. He's like a big brother, you know, and I have treasured every moment. Nginaye mabe sindawonye would laugh, would talk about characters, would talk about stories, and Mkaya like KZN, so we talk about all of those things. So ngithi kuwena Menzi Ngubane la uyakhona, I'm sure ukuthi you are welcomed with open arms. The Almighty shall bless you in every way wherever you are. Inhliziyo yakho imhlophe insizwa yakithi. Nethalente lakho limhlophe likhanyisile. Uyibekile induku ebandla. Hola Ngubs. Hola Ngubs. Hambe kahle mfowethu. Hamba kahle South Africa ikuthandile umhlaba ukuthandile. Uthandiwe wonke umuntu. Lale kahle qhwela. Sure.
My name is Gabriel Temzani, otherwise known as Ajendini from Mubango. It is a sad day in South Africa today as we remembering and mourning the passing of my dear brother who put Menzi Ngubane, whom I've grown to respect in the fraternity and appreciate his art, if not work. What I liked and what I would remember the most about him is how serious he took and understand the craft. I found myself in, you know, situations that we had to interact several times, but there's one that is very prominent. I think we're doing the Satmas in Durban, and Menzi was talking about his family, and I then realized that the man has got a deep sense of family and he loves his family. Yes, I haven't met his family members, but I felt like I've known them through him, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say to the family, condolences, and we feel your pain, we grieve with you. May the good Lord give you strength and courage to overcome the grief, and may his departed soul rest in eternal peace.
Demasiare, Sinalangandi Kendi, Uafamagidimisa, also known as Jess from Mubango. We as Mubango and Word of Mouth Pictures family, Rokotamo Edisa, Nabatua Motaba Menzi Ngubane. Menzi Ngubane was such a great icon. The Kumbra and Chikwaru, and Sidera Kaye, and Chimonaka TV generations, Amutono inspire and go on how actor. So the Kurumuzimo Cabana Motawa Hawe, Baba Manda, Gashmishpinga Chibi, and the Koya Nabu.
Ama messages othando nokumkhumbula uMenzi are really unlimited and awapheli, but bengithanda ukugcizelela nje abantu abahle ukuthi isikhathi is definitely not on our side, and if the next couple of speakers can just try and help us out and just keep it all under 3 minutes, that would really be great. Sibongile kakhulu ke abathandwa. That was a beautiful performance. Next up, I'd like to call up an amazing woman, a phenomenal lady, a lady who, when I myself started out in the film and TV industry, a lady whose makeup hands I landed onto, Usisbongi, someone I call like a mother, you know, a young mother, you know, in a way, an amazing lady. Usisbongi Mlotshwa is somebody who's been in this industry for a very long time and has seen many of us come and go. So I'd like to call her up next to come and share her message for uMenzi, and then she'll be followed up by the praise and worship team that will give us a song, and following that will be an AV from Uzonke Mchunu and uKandi Magidimisa. Thank you.
Mine, Menzi, is a story. We were dreamers. We were black, talented kids in the township who never even thought we would make it up to this far. We met at a youth club, Elokshini, where we used to dance, sijiva, bekathanda ukujiva. And sifoster, some of us couldn't sing, but besithi siyacula, but most of us ended up eFuba. I ended up eFuba Market Theatre. I learned studied drama, speech and drama. But my career didn't take off. His take off first. And we met again at Skolt's Films. And we had a strange relationship. Every time we saw each other, we'd catch up for 20 years. And uMenzi, to me, Sigi, your uxole sis, I know how much he loved you. uMenzi was such a gentleman. Ngimbiza ibhinqa eliyithandayo. His perfume, guys, when he walked in the makeup room, wow, ngithi uyasichama. Every morning, sifika ngo-6 la sizonukelwa iperfume yakho. And uMenzi besilwela intshebe mina naye. He had a gray beard. So I used to say, why Menzi ungayeki intshebe? Athi hayi angifuni mina. Angithandi. Ngithi you look very sexy when you have your gray beard. Angforced. I would go to the chemist ngithenge ikhala siyikalare. And then he was happier when his beard was black, but ebezithanda uMenzi. Angaze ngibona umuntu onomusa. You know, in the makeup room, we become mothers to everyone. No one cares about us. We're just there. And when I went into Generations, it was quite weird in the makeup room. There was weird vibes. So after a while, ngelinye ilanga uMenzi came. He sat just opposite where I sat. He said, Mpinch, engiyakubona bayakuvurvaya mfethu. But qina, this is what you love the most. Ngiyazi ukuthi wena you always care about other people. No one ever cares about the makeup artist, no one. And we've become the mothers, the sisters. Umenzi makagula bekaze emsebenzini agula, and bekubhlungu just to watch him, but he was brave, that man. Like angaze ngibona umuntu o strong njengaloya. And then when he met to see, where's our introducer kimi wathi yabona lo bongs ngiyamshada. I was ngathi kuye, "Hey, ubuye emshadweni onzima, uyakhumbula?" He was like, "Yabona lo bong is the one. Uzobona ngizokukhombisa ukudla kwakhe." So every day mageza as an escaftin in the makeup room and showed me ukuthi yakubona ukudla kwakhe ukuthi upheka kahle kanjani. Ngithi I know, hayi uyakushaya ene ngiyazi ukuthi indoda mayiphekela iyajabula. So Sigi, ngiyabonga sisi, when uMenzi was at the lowest point, you were there. You cooked, you made sure her diet was well taken care of. Abakangubane, niqole ngiyazi ukuthi nivelelwe izinto ezimbi zilandelana. Niqole kubhlungu kodwa thina ngoMenzi silahlekelwe. I miss uMenzi. He was the motivator, the most loving, the only man that called me Mamlojwa. And I could feel it in my heart ukuthi ya no yazi indodi yangibonga. Zulu omuhle. He was a proud Zulu man. Ngiyabonga guys, ngizwelana nani. Nihambe kahle ukubuyela eMnambithi. Thank you so much.
About the passing of Obabu Menzi. We are really saddened, not only as an industry, but also as the Word of Mouth Pictures family. I remember growing up being so inspired, being so motivated by Obabu Menzi. And, I remember when I went to an art school, and those were the people that were really inspiring, and there were even references in our classes. So it's really so sad for us to hear about his passing, because even when I started working here and would bump into him in the corridors, he was the friendliest, warmest person anyone will tell you. And I was starstruck for, this big person that I grew up watching, and now I'm here bumping into him, going to corridors. But he was so warm. He was always willing to give advice, always willing to have small talks. And yeah, we are really saddened by his passing. So we will always remember his work. And yeah, condolences to the Ngubane family.
Igama lami nguzonke ngwakamkhulu ngidlala uImani Nkosi laphaya kuMbango. Ngiphambi kwenu njengamanje ngiphethe ukukhulu ukudabuka ngenxa yokudlula kuka baba uMenzi Ngubane. Ngithi nje kumndeni wonke wakwaNgubane onomafu ozikotela emhlophe ngicela ngiduduzeke kwi-industry yonke yaseMzansi. Ngithi nje xolani, inkosi iphile, inkosi ithathile, kuzoba ngcono. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Menzi, ngifuna ukusho ukuthi ngiyabonga. I thank you for the beautiful soul that you are, because you continue to be a beautiful soul. Sizokhumbula for all the goodness that you brought. You were a talented actor. You were a kind person. Ukufika kwangule industry, ngangazi ukuthi ngiyothola ithuba lokuthi ngisebenze nawe. Ngakhula ngikubukela. Little did I know ukuthi our paths will cross. And the privilege of ukuthi ngisebenze nawe was so pivotal ekhuleni kwami as an actor. You were patient, you gave guidance, and you were always the consummate professional. Sizokhumbula as actors and as ababukeli. Rest in peace. I thank you for all that you are.
Oh, Menzi Budwami, Skoko Sami. This is how we used to call each other, because way back at generations, I would come to you, after watching some of your scenes and be like, you make this thing look so easy. So from that day, I called you Skoko, and you said right back at you, now we Skoko. So that nickname, Skoko Sami, started there. And we reconnected again as Maya. There we got a chance to really talk about us, talk about our journey in this industry. You've always been a pure, genuine spirit, Putwami. I'm heartbroken that you're no longer with us, but if I believe to be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord. I pray that God opens his heavens and you're forever in our hearts. We love you. Rest in peace, Putwami.
Uyazi inhliziyo yami ibuhlungu kakhulu uzovalelisa uNgubs uMenzi ubhuti wami. I'll just say a couple of incidents that made me close to him and him so special to me. First, when I was an intern on Generations, this was way back 2006, I think, and everyone was, looking at like this little girl who's running around here. But when he arrived in Generations, he did not have that disrespect. I used to talk to him about language, correct him on his own language, Zulu. But we used to have such a nice camaraderie between the both of us. And that I will never forget because I was nervous coming to a place that's full of stars. And then the second time is when at Generations, they made me a head writer. I was nervous as hell. And, writing for big names, and you're a head writer, they're looking up to you. He came to my office and he said to me, Siswam, sengiyazi-ke manje sesizowenza iy'tori eziphilayo, iy'tori ezinomdlandla, iy'tori zabantu abamnyama, iy'tori zangempela. And that was so encouraging coming from him. Those things were very significant to me that he became so special and we connected till forever, till now. And I was doing my feature film right now and he knows about it and he had a character in it. And I'm just so sad that the feature film is not short yet and he had a character. I will have to look for someone and I know they will never fill his shoes. So it will be someone who will be closer than that, but they will never fill his shoes. They will never be Ngubs. They will never be what I wanted. It's uhambe kahle, Menzi uhambe kahle, Ngubs. Always love you. And thank you for seeing me and thank you for respecting me just as I respected you. Love you so much.
Jehovah, Ritebile wena Jehovah Ritebile wena Jehovah Ritebile wena Jehovah, Ritebile when I fell. a bill when we reach over. Reach a bill when reach a bill
Kulesi sikhathi samanje sithembe yena uJehova. Kunento ubhuti abethanda ukisho ukuthi akusibona bonke abathi inkosi inkosi abayobona umbuso wezulu. Abantu abaningi bacabanga ukuthi ubhuti ube humble. I beg to differ. Bhuti was brutally honest. Ayikho into abeyithanda njengeqiniso. Iqiniso lakhe kwesinye isikhathi belinzima. Liphinde lakhe. Uthe mangabe ku organizewa le memorial ngithindwa umdlalose, umhlanhla mdlalose. Engitshela ukuthi inamba yabantu bakaSibaya izoba u10. Ngase ngithi mina Mdlalose anginandaba ukuthi who comes and who doesn't. Whatever you do, ungamshiya uXabhashi. uXabhashi ubhumba simbiza ngobhumba umthokozisi wakaXoli igama lakhe. uXabhashi ube udriver kaMenzi abemkhonze kakhulu. Ngize ngathi kumdlalose Mdlalose mangabe uXabhashi engekho la uyiphendulela wena kuyena. Umenzi beneqiniso kubantu abathandayo. Didn't matter what the title was. If he connected with you, wayeba neqiniso kuwena. Introduce engizothi base sidini lomndeni ngoba ngiyacabanga ukuthi umuntu engizombiza kuqala, we also see him as part of the family. Ngizocela uMr Zizi kodwa ukuthi asondele ngaphambili. Emva kwaloko ngizocela ubhuti Mxolisi. Ubhuti Mxolisi sishube okuyena omfo ka Skoni usisike. And then emva kwaloko ngizocela ubhuti Boni Somahashi umbovu ukuthi eze ngaphambili esezokhulumela umndeni wakaNgubane. Skoni kunento engifuna ukisho kuwena. Ngiyazi isikhathi siyasishiya. Kodwa ngiyacabanga ukuthi umfowethu uzongivizitha mangabe ngingayisho lento kuwena. Akekho umuntu operfect. Ngifike la isikhathi ngala uma wakushone khona ubaba. Akekho umuntu perfect, but one thing I can attest to is that Menzi loved you.